Good afternoon, students. Welcome back to your social science class. In my last two video sessions, I have discussed with you about the two houses of the Parliament, their powers and functions also. In my last video, I have discussed with you about the President of India. I discussed about the legislative power of the President and also the executive powers of the President. Now, today I am going to begin from the judicial power of the President. Okay. So, what is the first judicial power of the President? The President of India can appoint the Chief Justice of Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of High Court and also the other judges of the Supreme Court. This is the first judicial power of the President. What is the second judicial power of the President? The President of India is not at all answerable. He is not at all accountable for the discharge of his duties. This is the second judicial power. Now, what about the third judicial power? The President of India can grant pardon to any of the criminal who has been given a death sentence by the Supreme Court. Not only this, he can also reduce the duration of punishment of any criminal who has been given a long-term punishment. Okay, so he can reduce the time duration of punishment also. So these are the three judicial powers that are enjoyed by the President of India. Now, I would move on to the financial power. Earlier I told you children that a financial bill or a money bill can originate only in the Lok Sabha. The Rajya Sabha only enjoys the power of delaying the bill for 14 days. Okay, but I did not tell you that whenever a bill is originating in the Lok Sabha, before its origination, it requires a prior permission of the President. This is one of the financial power of the President. The President of India gives prior permission before the origination of any financial bill. Otherwise, a money bill cannot originate in the Lok Sabha without the prior permission of the President of India. Okay, this is a very vital financial power that is enjoyed by the President. What is the second financial power that is enjoyed by the President? The President of India can sanction money from the contingency fund of India, which no other person can do. He can sanction money from the contingency fund of India. So this is the second financial power of the President. And the third financial power you already know, that is a bill cannot become an act. A money bill can never become a law. It can never become an act without the signature or without the accent of the President. Okay, so this is the third financial power of the President. Now we will move on to the emergency powers. Now, before telling you about the emergency powers of the President, I would like to tell you about what are the three kinds of emergencies. The three kinds of emergencies are national emergency, state emergency and financial emergency. Now, what is national emergency? Whenever your country is at the stake of war or whenever there is a chance of foreign aggression, during that time there is a national emergency. What is state emergency? Whenever there is a failure in the constitutional machinery of any state, that time it is called a state emergency. And whenever there is a financial crisis within a nation, that time it is called a financial emergency. So during all these emergencies, President rule is imposed. Okay, during national emergency, President rule is imposed on the whole country. During state emergency, President rule is imposed on that particular state wherever there is a failure in the constitutional machinery, and during financial emergency, again President rule is imposed on the country. So these are the emergency powers of the President. And always remember children that the president can declare an emergency only after consulting with the Prime Minister of India. Okay, he can declare an emergency only after consulting with the Prime Minister of India. Okay, now we will move on to the martial power of the president. Okay, so what is the martial power of the president? The President of India is the chief commander of all the three armed forces of our country. He is the chief commander of the Indian Army, he is the chief commander of the Air Force and also of the Navy or the Naval Force. Okay, so these are the other powers and functions of the President. Okay, now we will move on to the Vice President of India. At first, we will study about the election of the Vice President of India. Students, the Vice President of India is elected by the process of single transferable vote system. Okay, the election involves the members of the Lok Sabha, the members of the Rajya Sabha, but it does not involve the members of the Vidhan Sabha, the State Legislative Assembly. The State Legislative Assembly is not involved in the election of the Vice President of India. Okay, so this is the election process. Now, what about the qualification of the Vice President? The Vice President should be a citizen of India. He should not be less than 35 years of age. He should possess a sound mind. His name should be registered in the voters list. He should not be an undischarged insolvent. He should not hold any office of profit under any governmental agency. His qualifications are more or less same with that of the President of India. Is that clear? Now we will move on to the term or tenure of his office. The Vice President remains in his office for the term of 5 years. Again, the term of the Vice President and the President is same. Okay, it's similar. Okay, now what about the salary and allowances? Actually, previously the salary of the Vice President was around 85,000. Okay, but recently it has increased to 1,25,000. Okay, and it is again charged from the Consolidated Fund of India. Now we will move on to the powers and functions of the Vice President. Well, I was teaching you the parliamentary form of government, that is the Union Parliament. When I was teaching you Rajya Sabha, I told you that the Vice President is the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. So that is the first and the foremost function of the Vice President. He performs the functions of being the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. He is responsible solely for maintaining discipline at the floor of the house. He is also responsible for holding all the proceedings at the floor of the house. Okay. So what is the second function of the Vice President? The second function of the Vice President is whenever the office of the President falls vacant, during that time the Vice President of India works as the acting President. Okay, but that does not last for long. Okay, that remains valid only for 6 months, and within 6 months the next president has to get re-elected. Okay, now we will move on to the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister of India is the real executive of our country. Earlier I told you the difference between the nominal executive and the real executive. So the President was the nominal executive of our country, but the Prime Minister is the real executive. Okay. So what about the appointment of the Prime Minister? The Prime Minister is appointed by the President. Okay, he is the Prime Minister is the leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha, and the leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha is appointed as a Prime Minister by the President. So what about his term or tenure? The Prime Minister remains in his office for 5 years. As long as the Lok Sabha remains in power, or as long as the majority party remains in power in the Lok Sabha, the Prime Minister also remains in his office. What about the qualification of the Prime Minister? The qualification of the Prime Minister is similar to that of the member of Lok Sabha, is similar to that of the member of Parliament. Okay. Now we will study about the powers and functions of the Prime Minister. So being the real executive of our country, the Prime Minister is very much powerful. Okay, his first and foremost power is the President appoints every Council of Ministers after consultation with the Prime Minister. All the appointments are done by the President after consultation with the Prime Minister of India. This is the first and foremost power that is enjoyed by the Prime Minister. What about the second power? The Prime Minister also acts as a link. He also acts as a bridge between the Council of Ministers and the President of India. Now, on request of the Prime Minister only, the President can dissolve the Lok Sabha. Okay. Not only that, the most powerful power is the President can declare an emergency only when the Prime Minister asks him or her to do so. Okay. So these are the powers and functions of the Prime Minister of India. Now we will move on to the Council of Ministers. Now what about the appointment of the Council of Ministers? See children, all the appointment of the Prime Minister, all the appointment of the Council of Ministers are done by the President in consultation with the advice of the Prime Minister. Okay, the Prime Minister advises the President, and according to his advice, the President appoints the Council of Ministers. Okay, now there are three divisions in the Council of Ministers. First is the Cabinet Minister, second is the Minister of State, and third is the Deputy Minister. Okay, the number of the Council of Ministers has not yet been fixed. Okay, but according to the 91st Amendment Act of the Constitution, it has been determined, or it has been decided that only 15% of the members of Lok Sabha should be given the power or should be appointed as the Council of Ministers. Okay. Now we will study about the powers and functions of the Council of Ministers. The first and foremost function of the Council of Ministers is formulation of policy. Okay, so these policies includes domestic policies as well as external policies. Okay, what is the next function of the Council of Ministers? It is to control the expenditure of the country, or they decide the budget or the budget of the country. Okay, next is they are also responsible, or they are also answerable to the legislature. See children, this is a very vital place. Okay, actually what happens, the Council of Ministers, they are collectively as well as individually responsible to the legislature. Okay, the legislature may ask question and answer to the Council of Ministers regarding their activities or regarding their policies. So in that case, if the Council of Ministers are unable to satisfy the legislature, what will happen then? The legislature may pass a vote of no confidence motion against the Council of Ministers. And if a vote of no confidence motion is passed against the Council of Ministers, then the Prime Minister along with his entire Council of Ministers has to resign. Okay, so that is the end of your chapter, Parliamentary Form of Government, and please go through the chapter at your home and have a nice day. Thank you.